Nothing upsets a sports fan when they see a blown call, right? It's a human element to our game, no matter what the game. Whenever you see a blown call, and you just figure that the official or umpire or linesman should do a better job. And I agree with all of that. It's a tough job. It's a very difficult job to get things right, which is why we have something called 21st century technology. That's a nice little safety net. Sometimes it annoys the sports fan as well that we're stopping the action in order to parse a video like we're looking at the Zapruder film. Look that up, young kids. And it upsets you. And I understand that too. But we've got to get it right if we can get it right. And the NFL has an ability to get things right through instant replay. It is there for all of us to use. You all have it at home. You all have it at home maybe in 4K, in the highest definition possible.
Yeah.
But what an official doesn't have in real time is the ability to watch it back. And, you know, I'm assuming their vision is 4K quality. So put it all together. And when we're not using replay to help matters, and it really comes down to a game-changing moment, it's particularly infuriating. Now, had the Falcons performed better in the first half, had they not made certain mistakes, had they not, been down by 6 with 3 minutes to go, this would be a non-issue, which is why my buddy Hall of Famer Rod Woodson would always tell me this story whenever I would be complaining about this sort of stuff watching football games. And then Chuck Noll always told the Steelers before playing, play better than the ref's ref. That way you don't have to have your game being decided in the last second by a poor call. And what Jerome Boger did yesterday, the head official in Tampa, was absolutely blow a call. One of the worst roughing the passer penalties around. Grady Jarrett sacks Tom Brady on a 3rd and 5 with just under 3 minutes to go. And the Bucs are going to punt. They're going to be forced to punt. Now, again, Marcus Mariota's got to go the length of the field and score a touchdown and beat Tampa. But he didn't have that opportunity because Jerome Boger flagged Grady Jarrett for roughing Tom Brady. And did Jarrett hit him in the face? No. Did he hit him in the head and neck area? No. As a matter of fact, the photograph that we have associated with Jerome Boger's response in a pool report to a pool reporter is it basically said, what are you thinking? You could see Jarrett has Brady wrapped up around the waist as he's bringing him down. Now, Jarrett did then take Brady from the right hip from his right hip to his left hip, and the two did get tangled up as Jarrett was so excited that the sack had happened and he got up and it looked like maybe he did something to Brady. But Brady was, trying to get Jarrett off him. I'm sure he was furious that his team now had a punt. And Boger said, what I had was the defender grab the quarterback while he was still in the pocket and unnecessarily throwing him to the ground. That was what I'm making my decision based on. And it's absurd. There's no other way to describe it than absurd, infuriating, wrong, and kudos to Arthur Smith for not getting a 15-yard penalty of his own, because I would have blown a gasket.
Absolutely.
I would have made Bo Schembechler back in the day look like a deaf mute. With all due respect, I honestly would have lost my mind. So, what do? There's something called the Hawkeye system in the NFL. What is that? Well, the head officials in New York City have the ability to tell the officiating crew at the site something. They have the ability to tell the crew to rule something incomplete instead of a fumble, or rule something meriting more of a look-see than just an incomplete pass. Okay? They have that ability in last 2 minutes to buzz in and make a rule on something, make a ruling on something, and then during the game, outside of the last 2 minutes, have the ability to tell the officials, hey, let's just rule that incomplete or rule that not a fumble because the ground, he was down already. Save the other coach a challenge. Let's move this thing along. We've got your back. You didn't call it right on the field. Let's save the other team a challenge, and let's make this decision and move it along. You see it so many different times. You're like, wait a minute. Why are they, that was a fumble. Why are they now ruling it not a fumble? They didn't review it. Well, yeah, they did. Somebody did in New York City. And the competition committee is not yet ready to make the Hawkeye the actual administrator of what's a penalty and what is not. They're not ready for that yet. They're doing the NFL thing, which is take it in dribs and drabs. There are some owners in the league that are just way too conservative. They're like, we are not going to let Big Brother Eye in the Sky officiate our games. We're not. And I'm sure the referee union doesn't want that either. They're probably seeing what's happening in Major League Baseball, where umpires are about to be the conduit for a computer to tell you whether it's a ball or a strike. And I'm not saying that we should officiate everything from 345 Park Avenue through what's on television, but I'm saying we should review more like that. Like that. There is no reason why the league officials and the Art McNally named officiating review center, they can't see something like that, call Walt Anderson, the head of NFL refs, over and say, we got something in Atlanta. Walt, what do we got? Well, this was called roughing the passer. And they run it back. And then they could get in Jerome's ear and say, Jerome, hold on a minute. And so what is he going to do? He's not going to go to any replay monitor. No. He could call his other officials together, and they're having a conversation. Sort of in the same way that a pitching coach goes out to a pitcher that's struggling, and they have a talk for like 45 seconds to a minute so the other reliever could warm up. Then the umpire comes out and says, break it up. So there's no reason why in that instance they can't have a conversation and then Walt Anderson gets in Jerome's ear and say, pick up the flag, Jerome. That is not roughing the passer. And they could say, well, I thought this. I know what you thought. We just looked at it. We'll talk about it later. And then Jerome Boger gets on the microphone and says, there is no penalty for roughing the passer. 4th down. That's it.
My bad.
It's only cost us a minute. That's it. And they could have done the same thing, by the way, in Cleveland. Sebastian Joseph Day just gave a little shove to Jacoby Brissett on an incomplete pass in the end zone. That was ruled roughing the passer. He clearly did a little bit of, from what I could see, flop. Official bought it 15 yards. And it's like, so we're now taking a little bit of a shove and a Grady Jarrett sack of Brady doing everything right. And you're getting 15 yards thrown. These 15-yard penalties are so significant. It's the difference between a team getting off the field or not, or giving an offense new life that it does not deserve. And you see that all the time in helmet-to-helmet hits that aren't. You see that all the time. There is no reason when there is technology in the 21st century to not use it. And I am begging the membership of the NFL or whomever in the competition committee that is saying, we got the unintended consequences. Remember what happened with pass interference. I'm not saying that you could challenge it. I'm not saying that Arthur Smith should take a red flag out and say, that's not roughing the passer. I'm willing to just take it in moderation. Let the officials in New York who currently have the ability for certain things to tell the officiating crew at the site, do not do this, you should do that, pick that up, call it that, to include roughing the passer or any 15-yard penalty, any of them, because they can get in there and say, hey, in that fight, that so-and-so threw a punch, take that person out. You can do those things. Why not for this? We're infuriated. Fans feel cheated.